love fish. Good morning. When did you get there? How long have you been watching me? I'm having my breakfast. You know what this is? Fish. You like fish? And this, what's this one? Bread. I like bread too. Do you like fish and do you like bread? I know it doesn't really look like fish. I'll show you what it is. From the supermarket, you can get these fish fillets and you put them in the oven for about 18-19 minutes, and then when they come out they taste so nice. But I don't think you're here to watch me eat, are you? You're here for a story. So I better put the fish away. I'll put my breakfast away and I should replace it with the Bible. So I'll put the food away. Bring my Bible. Hello. How are you guys? There seems to be a new person here. Did you guys bring a friend? Oscar, Mike, how are you? Who's that? That's Sebastian, isn't it? Hi Sebastian, can you say hi Sebastian? Wow! They keep, every week there's a new person, there's a new toy, a new teddy bear. Are you going to bring someone else next week? And it's going to fill the whole table soon. Anyway, good morning everyone, good to see you all. We have a new story, don't we? What do you think today's story is going to be about? Have you guessed? Have you been thinking about it all week? I gave you a clue, didn't I? Did you pick up on that clue? What was I doing? I was eating. What was I eating? Bread? Yes. And fish? Fish and bread. Is there a story in the Bible, something that Jesus does with fish and bread? Tell me, what is it? What happens? Do you know? It's when Jesus feeds 5,000 people. How much is 5,000? That's huge. Imagine your school. How many kids do you have in your school? Maybe 1,000 if it's a big school? Imagine 5 times that. You know when you're watching soccer or football and you can see the stadium, the crowd, it's all full. That's how many people were there to see Jesus. Why do you think? Because remember, Jesus is popular now. Jesus is very popular. Everyone's following him and wanting to listen to what he has to say. So, here we see Jesus coming off the boat. And as he's coming off the boat, he sees people there. He's with his disciples and they're all just hanging around the beach. And the disciples say, go and see them because they want to listen to you, Jesus. They want to hear your wonderful words. And there's so many people there. And he's like, okay, of course I will. And Jesus starts to teach them. He tells them about God and how loving God is. He tells them how kind God is and they shouldn't steal and they shouldn't cheat anyone and they shouldn't lie and they need to love their enemies and they shouldn't judge other people. And he was saying all these great words and everyone was listening. And he was also saying, trust me. Jesus was telling them, don't trust others, trust me, because Jesus will give them the right answers and help them out. How long do you think Jesus was teaching them for? The Bible says all day. Now, I would have loved to have been there just to listen to Jesus, wouldn't you? Sit down on the grass and just listen to Jesus all day. That would have been amazing. But there was one little problem. If they're sitting there all day with Jesus, what do you think is going to start to happen? They're going to get hungry, aren't they? Of course. They sit there from the morning to the afternoon, they're going to start to get hungry. And they're probably not going to stop Jesus and say, we're hungry, because they don't want to be rude. So they're just sitting there listening, but they're getting hungry. So the disciples say to Jesus, send them home, send all the people home, because let them go and eat. We don't want them sitting all day. It's good to sit all day to listen to Jesus, but you know what? Maybe it's time for them to go home. Maybe they can come back tomorrow, but it's time for them to go home now. And Jesus says, no, don't send them away. You feed them. disciples are like, there's 5,000 people. How are we going to feed them all? That's going to cost a lot of money. If they have to go to the shop and buy food for 5,000 people, it's going to cost them like a whole year of working. It's going to cost way too much. So they're very curious. Jesus, what do you mean? How? It's impossible. And then Jesus says, how many loaves of bread and how many fish do we have here? Do we have enough to feed everyone from here? And they said, no, we have just how many pieces of bread? Do you know the story? How many did they have? 5 loaves of bread only for everyone. And how many fish? 2. 2 pieces of fish and 5 pieces of bread. I've got it here. So, we have the bread. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, beautiful. There's the bread. That's all they had. For 5,000 people, I think I can eat this by myself. And then they had, as I showed you, the fish that I cooked in the oven, and there is 2 pieces of fish. Why am I still eating? So, I'm hungry this morning. So that's the 5 bread and the 2 pieces of fish, and Jesus says, feed everyone with that. With that, feed 5,000 people. Now, I don't know what they're going to do, but I'm thinking, if one of these has to feed 1,000, how do we do that? Maybe, here's your little piece. Here's your little piece. And maybe they keep doing that until you can get 1,000 little pieces from this. Do you think that's what Jesus meant? For them to grab the little piece of bread and just give everyone a little bit, and grab the fish and just give them 1 crumb to feed everyone. Is that what Jesus meant? No. Jesus was about to do a miracle. What's the miracle he's going to... I can smell that fish. It's making me hungry again. Go away. Get away from me. I'm too hungry now. So, what he does is, he gets them all to sit into groups of 50 and 100. So he says, everyone just sit into groups. Don't all just go everywhere because people can't walk and it's going to be hard. Sit in little groups all around in 50s and 100s. And then Jesus says, watch what I will do now. Give me the basket of the fish and the bread. And then he holds it up. And he says, Father, feed them. And when he brings it down, you see in the next slide, whenever someone puts their hand in the basket, they put their hand in, they grab fish, they grab bread, and it never runs out. And not only 1 basket, there were hundreds of baskets filled with fish and bread that came from nowhere. Now, we've seen Jesus do that already. Remember the first story a long time ago? When there were no fish in the sea and Jesus made hundreds and hundreds. He's doing it again, but now with bread and fish. He's feeding everyone. Just imagine you see a basket sitting on the floor, there's nothing in there, and then you just turn your head and it's filled with bread and fish. Wow. Does that surprise you anymore, how great Jesus is? Because we know, and we keep saying every week, Jesus can do anything and everything. He doesn't tell them to go home, he feeds them all. Not only that, when everyone was completely filled and completely full and didn't want another bite, there were still 12 baskets, big baskets, look at them, of fish and bread still left over. So Jesus didn't just feed them a little bit. You know how sometimes you get a little bit of food when you're hungry? Jesus fed them so much that they could not, maybe they had 10 fish each and 10 pieces of bread each. We don't know how hungry they were. But I could eat those fillets, about 5 or 6 of those fillets. I could eat 5 fish. So imagine how much fish Jesus produced and bread. Isn't that an absolutely amazing story? That Jesus, yet again, comes to the party, helps out, and delivers his promise. So, did you enjoy today's story? What about you, Oscar, Mike, Sebastian? What do you think of today's story? So we're going to get going now because I'm going to finish my breakfast with my fish and bread. But I hope that this story has shown you how great Jesus is once again. That there were 5,000 people hungry, and the disciples are like, send them away, and Jesus is like, no, I care about them too much. I will take care of them. That's what Jesus is saying. I will take care of them, and from nothing, well, just from 5 pieces of bread and 2 fish, he creates hundreds and thousands of bread and fish. Did you guess that was the story today, even before I was eating my breakfast? Did you guess it? What is going to be the story next week? Next week is going to be a great story. I can't wait to share it with you from the book of Mark. It's a great story that Jesus is going to do something incredible, amazing, and that's why we love Jesus. We say it every week. The good news about Jesus Christ, the Son of God. It is all good news. Jesus does so many things and says so many great things. It's so important we come every week to continue to listen to Jesus and what he says in his word and the magnificent things that he does. Anyway, have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.